There we go.
All right, John Boy, lead us off. Thanks.
Yeah. Russ, Tyler's off to statistically one of the best starts of his career. You guys have always had a strong connection, but how have you seen that grow over the years where you just feel so comfortable going to him in big moments?
Yeah, well, Tyler, he's just so special. He knows the game in and out. He knows the game plan. I always tell you guys, he's like a quarterback on the field. I think that, he's just been so dialed in ever since he's gotten here. I think that, I think from his, experience, just being a guy who's been around, professional, football players before and stuff like that. He came in as a professional, as a rookie, and he had that little bump in the road with the injury and stuff like that, but he just has overcome everything, and he's an overcomer in every way. He's a man of great faith. He's a man of just high character. Just he loves doing it the right way. He just keeps finding a way to get open, and so they can't cover him, and he's just so good at everything he does.
With the scramble drill in particular, when you are running around making something happen out of the pocket, when you look downfield, how confident are you that you're going to find him open somewhere? It seems like he's always the guy.
Yeah, and just so confident in everybody, honestly. He's one of the guys that's been around me the longest, obviously, so he's probably definitely one of the best at it, without a doubt. But, everybody's done a great job of it. We've had some huge scrambles, throughout this season and in the past. Obviously, it's something that we do really well. But it's not something that we're looking to do. It's just something that happens, just through the flow of the game. And I think that he's so quick and so fast. He's just so decisive. He makes the right play every time.
Corbin?
Hey, Russ, kind of building off that last question. Early in your career, you guys had some seasons you were in the middle of the pack or in the bottom half of the league in red zone efficiency, but right now you're at 100%. You've scored a touchdown every time you've been down there. I asked Tyler about this on Sunday. It seems like you two are much more comfortable together there the last couple of years in congestion. What makes him so special down there, and what's been the biggest improvement for you in the red zone as your career's progressed?
Well, I think that it's all about touchdowns. You want to be able to score touchdowns, and we have multiple ways of doing it. Obviously, we want to be able to run the ball in first and get the ball in through there, and just let Chris Carson do his thing, and Carlos and the running backs. And then with the receivers, they just do a great job of creating separation and getting open and finding lanes. And we find lanes, in every different way. Whether if it's a zone defense or a man defense, or and whether if obviously the scrambles too as well. And so it's just. It's about making plays down there. It's about just believing that, when you get down there, we need to score every time. And I think, we get to, practice it every week of going down the red zone every day and getting tons of work down there.
Mazdita?
Hey, Russell, just wondering if you could talk about the versatility of the tight ends, just what they can do, and then if you have a second, just who they are and how different they are personality-wise.
Yeah, Masvid, I think that's a good question. I think the reality is that I think we have one of the best tight end rooms, if not the best tight end room in the NFL, just because of the great experience that we have and the players that we have. You think about, Greg Olsen, obviously, I think it's his 14th, 15th year. And just he's been unbelievable for so many years. He's made so many key plays over the past. He's brought me nightmares at night sometimes. A couple times here, but he's just a great teammate. He knows his stuff. He's dialed in, and that's been awesome for us. And then, we think about, obviously Disley. Disley came in. We were talking about his first game, his first experience, his first few games in his career, and then obviously the last year too as well. I mean, he just came out on fire, and so we're really excited about where he's at physically, and he's gonna be able to do a lot of great things for us, throughout this season. And we're really excited that he's come back so healthy and ready to play. And he hasn't gotten those opportunities quite as much yet, but I know that he's going to make some huge plays for us this season. And I have all the confidence in the world in who he is, and such a great team player he is. And then Hollister, he's been a great addition. He's been able to get open, and when obviously last year we had all those injuries to Disley in the tight end room and everything else, Hollister really stepped up. And just made tons of plays back to back and just kept making plays and scoring touchdowns. And so he's been terrific for us. Then there's obviously Luke Wilson too, who brings the passion and energy, and just he's kind of been one of those. He's always right in my hip, right when I need him. You know what I mean. So he always just makes a great play for us. And so The tight end room is phenomenal. I think that those guys have been dialed in since day one. They've done a great job through all the meetings, all the Zoom calls. They've been in every call, every situation. We've talked about a lot of ball. We've got tons of work with Greg in the offseason, just one-on-one. I got some work with Disley too, when he was ready to roll and healthy enough. So we got to spend one-on-one time together. Hollister, his focus and detail is amazing. And then obviously Luke, I've been with him for so many years. We've scored a lot of touchdowns and made a lot of plays together. So I think about each person individually, though. Greg is so focused, so dialed in, but he's got an amazing sense of humor. He's always cracking up, always making jokes and stuff like that. So, which I didn't know about him. And so we've really bonded in a great way. We've become really close. I think that relationship, that veteran relationship, is very real, and that respect. I think with Disley is so poised in every circumstance, in every situation, and he's so confident. He's one of the most confident people I know, and so I really respect him for his confidence and what he brings. Hollister is a guy very similar to, I would say, Disley, super confident guy, a guy who always believing in the best, a guy who's just knows he's going to make the next play and this play right here, and I love that about him. And then you got Luke Wilson, who's Techno Thursday, Luke over there. He's the guy that brings the passion, the energy, just everything that you could ever want in a teammate. He brings that to us, and it brings that consistency and that stability in terms of his energy and passion. So that's what I love about those guys.
Matt Calkins.
Hey Russell, two-part question. Can you describe how your relationship with Coach Schottenheimer has developed over the years, and how influential do you think he's been so far in the way your offense has been able to rack up points?
Well, Shotty and I have been really close. You got pretty close since day one, and because I love the game. I love the game. I love the process of it all. I study, and spend so much time on it. And he's the same exact way. He loves the game. He loves the passion behind it and everything else. And so I think with him, we both connected in that sense. And so, over the past couple of years, over the past few years, obviously in any system, right? You develop the chemistry, the work ethic, all that stuff together as one, which has been tremendous along the way. And I think that with me and Shotty, I'm super close with his family, and everything else. So I really respect him because more than anything else, obviously just being a great man, a great person, I think that he's a great coach. He's a great teacher, not just to me, but to the group, to the guys. And so that's what I love about him. I love teachers. I love people who can educate and teach not just the game, but the game of life, and how to do things, and the experiences. And his lineage is amazing, and obviously I think with his dad Marty and stuff like that, he's been around the game for so much. He's seen it all, and so he always has a good answer, and can always think of a great plan in that sense.
Greg Bell.
Russ, in your strive for perfection, how much better can you play than right now?
I think we left some stuff out in the field in the past, this past game, and I think the first two games were pretty spot on, I think, in every way. But I think this last game we kind of left some things out in general, and so I had the third down that I missed and threw a little low. We had the obviously we had that one play that could have been a touchdown and stuff like that. So there's some things out there. I think for me though, there's always room for improvement. I think there's always room for growth. There's always room for. I think the biggest part of consistency is consistently growing, consistently elevating. It's not just staying consistent and keep doing the same thing. It's consistently elevating your game. And I think, can I elevate everybody else? I believe there's a whole nother space that we can go to with this offense. And that's what I'm searching for. That's what I'm passionate about right now is, how much further can we go? We've been darn near great, almost perfect in a lot of different ways, but there's still a lot more room to grow. And I think that I feel confident, I think that, a lot of people, I was thinking about it, and just, the process of everything else, and think about to baseball and different things, different sports you play, and anything in life, there's a difference between, streaks, and there's a difference between, just being in the zone. And I think that we're definitely in the zone, and I think that we want to stay in that zone, stay locked in.
Ben.
Hey Russ, you've talked a lot about how special DK is
Just a lot. You mentioned it on Sunday, just kind of since you got here as a rookie. I was wondering if there was a moment, like a play or maybe a conversation you had film room, where you knew that he was kind of wired like you, maybe that he had a different mindset than other guys. Is there a moment that kind of stands out to where you kind of knew he was just kind of different than other guys?
Well, I knew last year when he came in, and as a rookie, I think I've told you guys this before, but as a rookie, he sat right next to me in the meetings, and he always asked me, questions and everything else. And I give this long 15-page report every week, and as you guys know, and he studies it, reads it word for word, he finds everything. If I quiz him, ask him a question, he knows it. And it could be about the defensive lineman, it could be about anybody. So that's what's really special about him, is that process of that. And I think that not just the physical, part of the game that he can bring to the game, but I think it's the mental side of the game that he really wants to be, one of the all-time greats. And when you're around it, you kind of sense it, you kind of know it, and you kind of feel it, and obviously you can see it too. And so I, in terms of just, how they produce on the field, and I think he's been producing, since day one. I think this offseason, though, we really got to really, really deeply get to know each other on a personal level of, especially with all the stuff going on with COVID and the world and everything else, we really connected. And we've always connected in a spiritual way too. So I think, I think that relationship has been really, really cool and really special, and how that's continued to develop. And, I really respect him, and we can have those one-on-one conversations about anything. And I think those things are the important things in the essence of relationship and friendship, and growth. And I think that's what has been a blessing, just to be able to get to know him as a friend, as a little brother in a way, And so, it's crazy to think he's only 22. I think he is only 22. So when you think about that, there's a whole nother space and time that he can go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bob.
Yeah, Russell. Brian Schottenheimer talked a few times about the impact of being up in the booth this year, as opposed to the last couple of years where he was making the calls from down the sidelines. Have you noticed a difference in that at all? And is the communication any different between you guys? Or?
I don't really notice a difference, to be honest with you, because of he's still coming through the headset and all that stuff. So it's the same thing. But I think that for him, he mentioned that it's pretty cool because you get to see the whole field. It's kind of like you get eagle vision from up there, and you get to see everything. But I think the biggest thing that's been great is just all the time that me and Austin and Coach Shoddy have spent together, talking ball, over the past month, in 2 months, since we got in here. And then obviously over the Zoom calls, just really dialing our time in when we do have that time together, because you can only spend so much time together, making sure that we can really take advantage of that time. And like I said, I love the game, Austin does, Shoddy does. So that nature of just knowing the game and feeling it is very natural for us. And I think the other cool thing is that, as like during the games, like even in the past, Shadi and I definitely talk on the sidelines, but for me, I'm always processing the next drive, potentially thinking about, okay, what could happen? What's next? What's going on? And Shadi's doing the same thing even when he was on the field. So he's processing that. But as I'm processing my information, like for example, Austin being my quarterback coach, like last year and even this year especially, it's usually me and Austin talking about, hey, this, and this is what I like, and then they transfer that information as Shadi's getting ready for the next drive. And so I think that's still going on in such a cool way, as Austin's been on the field with me, he's been in the room with me, and so I think that relationship between me and Austin, as well as me and Coach Shadi, and also all three of us together, has been really great.
All right, two more for Russell. Let's go with Omar, and then we'll wrap up with Jackie.
Hey, Russell, congrats on all the early season success.
Yep. Thank you.
You mentioned the depth and the confidence you have in your tight ends. You said the same thing about your wide receivers. We've seen you involve the running backs in the past game. Have you ever been a part of an offense where no matter where you're on the field, no matter who's in the game, you have that sort of 100% confidence in the weapons you're working with?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been really cool just having great weapons. I think that's when you're playing offensive football, and you're on offense, you're a quarterback. You want to have great weapons. It helps it helps the game. It makes things a little bit easier, and guys can make a lot of great plays. I think at the receiver position, with the plethora of guys that we have, and guys like Tyler, and guys like DK, guys like Demo and Swain stepping up and stepping in. I mean, they're great players, and I think from the tight end position standpoint, to have those many, I don't need to go through the guys again, but just having that many guys that can make that many plays and catch the ball, have all the confidence in the world. The same thing with the running backs; they can catch it and run it. I mean, we're running for 100+ yards pretty much every game in that sense, and so we want to be able to keep that going and do that too as well. And so it's always a great thing to play quarterback and know that you got great skill position players, and I think that's an important part, especially in this point in my career. It's one of those things that you want to separate. You want to be able to maximize every opportunity, every play, every possession, and do special things and go win a Super Bowl. And I think that's part of being your ninth year of this. It's a blessing just to have great players, and I think it definitely makes a difference. I go back to when I was at Wisconsin. When you asked me the question, that feeling, when I was at Wisconsin, I got there and we had an amazing offensive line. Our guys are blocking their butts off right now, and here, and it's been great. And I think that makes a huge difference too as well. And then I also think about the players that we had. I mean, we had guys like Nick Toon and Abidaris, star receivers, and then we had tight ends like Pedersen, and we had Monty Ball, we had James White, Monty Ball, and we also had Melvin Gordon at running back. And so I had different receivers, different players. I mean, we could do anything. In our offense, we can do anything. There's nothing that we can't do, from play action to nakeds to throwing the ball down the field to the quick game to the screens to the this and that. And I think to be able to do it all, to have the versatility of a Chris Carson that can run the ball the way that he runs the ball, so physical and make people miss, and then to catch a screen, and then to run a deep route, and then to run a shallow cross, and then to run the ball again, and then to do all that stuff, and to have running backs like that, like Chris, it's a problem. It's a problem for defense, and it's a good problem for us. It's a good thing for us, but it makes it tough on a defense.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Hey Russ, congratulations on being Offensive Player of the Month. This is the first time in your career that this has happened. What does this mean to you? And secondly, you just went through all the weapons that you have, but what's the key for you personally to the success you've had to start the season off?
I think the key, Jackie, for me that helped us start the season off just so great is that knowing that despite everything going on in the world, that you still got to get ready. You still have a job to perform at the highest level. And, I told my performance team, SC's performance team, listen, the reality is that, this was in, May or late April or something like that. I forget. But, I told them, I said, listen, the reality is that, the ball is going to be kicked off in four months, whenever that was. I said, the ball's going to be kicked off in 4 months. I'm going to have to be ready to play at the highest level, so we got to do everything we can to stay safe as possible and everything else. At the same time, we got to get our work in. We got to be ready to play. We got to, like when I was practicing, I kept telling my performance team, Wesley's performance team, I was like, listen, we got to, when we're practicing, we got to practice like the game. So I was, I'm wearing shoulder pads, pants, everything. I'm playing a game when I'm practicing, running routes and doing all that stuff. And because the reality is that you're not going to get those reps. You don't really do that in the off season anyway. But it was more so for a mental thing and a physical thing for me too. And so I think that every time I was throwing, I pretty much had pads on for the most part, and just doing all that work. And then at the same time, making sure the condition was up, making sure this was, making sure all the film, meeting with, and talking to, great players of the past that have played this position, as much as possible. And so, I got to, have a one-on-one. I flew out and met with Kurt Warner, for example, and just spent, a long time with him, a full day with him. Just flew out and flew back, to Arizona and flew back, just me and him, and spent a lot of time together. And I think that relationship is very, to do that with greats, of our time that have played this position, and to watch a bunch of Peyton Manning stuff, Tom stuff, my stuff, Drew's, I study that stuff and I wake up every morning, and that's the first thing I do is that and train, and so, that's just, it's a commitment, it's a lifestyle, Jackie. I don't think that you can do something and try to be the best in the world at something, and try to be the best in the world consistently without making it a lifestyle, and a commitment to that every day. And I think the blessing of it all has been that I have great teammates that along the way and in this process of this season that have done that same thing and that same commitment and matched that. And I think that's what's magical. And so we're just in the first month, and we just, there's a lot more ball to play. We have a game this week that we have to go against a Miami defense that's very talented, can do a lot of great things. And so we got to be ready to play, and just, you can't take a day off. I always tell my team, you can't take a day off. It's an everyday thing. It's a commitment. It's a mentality. It's a focus level. It's a lifestyle. Lifestyle can't be random. And so, in that approach every day, there is no other space for anything else other than greatness, and I think that's just kind of where my mindset's been, this whole offseason, really my whole career, but really in particular this whole offseason, because, you have time to really just process, man, like if I could get to do it one more time, what's going to look like? If I get to do this one more time, what's it going to look like? And so I want to make sure that I make it special.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Russell.
Thank you, guys. Go Hawks.